Hello YouTube, it's Painter for Hire 1975 with you, and this is part 2 of how to paint a resin bust without an airbrush. Now, when we last left off, what we were doing is I was stippling along the second coat, or the second color, and if you notice, it's breaking up the skin. I want to show you something else that we're going to do. We've been using this stippling brush, but I'm actually going to use a little piece of sponge. This is something that's really cool that gives you a little bit more texture. So what we're going to do is going to get a cup. I'm going to put some paint in the cup. And what you do is you take your paper towel. Make sure you always have a paper towel because you don't want to have so much excess on your sponge. So what we're going to do, dip it in, and just kind of like blot it down on the thing. That's about how much paint you want. And now you just go and you just kind of do this. And what this is doing, this is breaking up that brown and layering nice lighter shades. And what this is going to end up doing is this is going to give it more of a dead, rotten flesh. Because, I mean, what is the Cryptkeeper? He's basically dead. He's, like a corpse. And what this is going to do is it's going to give you more of that effect. Whoop, had too much on that time. If you get too much, just take your finger and kind of just blot it off. It's pretty self-explanatory. But the great thing with painting like kits like this, like these dead, rotten kits, like dead flesh and stuff like that. The good thing about doing this is they're very what's the word I'm looking for? Forgiving, I'd say. They're very forgiving. If you make a mistake, you can easily just kind of like go over it with another color, or you can add more. But like I said, that's why you always want to go less. Like my problem is like what I was saying in the last video is I always go overboard with everything. But then again, that could be my technique, because what I do is I go overboard and then I'll redo it. And then once I redo it, I'll end up being like, oh, okay, well, cool. I like the way this looks, so I'm going to continue. I'm sorry if my hand is in the way. Try to keep my hand out of the way. It's very hard to do this though without getting my hand in the way. But you get the gist of what I'm talking about. You get the idea of what I'm bringing and what I'm talking about. Okay, now if you look at this, trying to see if I can get them in the camera. If you look at this, you see how the skin is kind of breaking up around here? That is the effect that you want. And we're going to even go even lighter with another color on this. And, you could also throw some other colors in there to kind of just give it a little bit more of a pizzazz feel, because you're not really limited when you do like an undead type creature kit, because there are different colors. You could throw some yellows in there, you could throw some purples in there, maybe a little bit of maybe some greens, just to kind of give it a little effect and everything. Because I mean, you got to think about it. What happens to the skin when it dies? It just goes rotten. It's like a rotten flesh, and that's kind of what we're going for with this particular model. Is we're going for this rotten flesh look. One other thing I wanted to mention is this technique that I'm showing you. Someone had left me a message last night when I had posted the first part of this series, and one person had mentioned, he said, hey, he says, you do great work, but you got your, I've seen your videos and you got your airbrush and you're probably using like really expensive paint and really expensive, tools. Can't afford an airbrush, but I can't afford, all this expensive paint either. And let's face it, model kits is a hobby that can get expensive over time. But for this, like I said, I paid $10 for this bust at a show, and I'm using these craft paints. I got these for like 79 cents a bottle. I mean, probably everything that I'm using here to build this kit, supply-wise, you're probably looking at no more than, including the kit, probably no more than probably $35, $40, which that's not, terribly expensive compared to like what some of these resin kits cost. I mean, let's face it, some of these big time garage kits, they can be $200, $300 even. I got some model kits that I have paid, I paid $400 for. It just depends. It depends on how motivated you are into the hobby. If you want to build a model kit and you want to build a really nice model kit, and you're going to want to spend a little bit more money. Now, they're not saying this is not a nice model kit, but what I'm trying to say is you don't have to buy all the great latest supplies, the more expensive supplies to get the effect that you want. Because I use craft paints a lot when it comes to like clothing and stuff like that. When it comes to skin tones, I stick strictly to Liquitex paints. I use those and I mix them, and that's what I use. But paint brushes, the cheapest I can find. For like the craft paints and everything, cheapest I can find. The only other thing that I really spend big money on is my airbrush. And to be honest with you, I don't even spend that big money on that, because what I do is I end up finding a cheap place to get it. Like I sent you guys a link in a video I made a few days ago, and that's the airbrush I use, and that's very reasonably priced. Hobby Lobby's got the exact same airbrush for $154. Check their store out. $154. You can get it at Amazon. I believe it was $107. Free shipping. Definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. Okay. See how this is coming along? See how he kind of looks more dead now? Now I'm probably going to add another color. Now I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back with you. I'm going to basically do to the hands what I did to the face. There's no need to like me show you that on the video. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. As you can see, I pretty much did with the hands what I did to the face. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take the color we just mixed, or just added onto the hands and face. We're going to add some more to our cup. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mix this up with a little bit of oyster white. Just a little bit. You don't have to have a necessary oyster white. I'm just using it because it's more of kind of like an off-white, but you could use ivory or some other color like that. And, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the exact same color. So, get an old brush. Okay. Now what we're going to do is going to just mix it. Just mix it. Okay? Just mix it to give it just a little bit more. So you kind of look at it and you're like, okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to actually experiment a little bit. I haven't done this. I'm just thinking, hey, this actually might not be such a bad idea. If it's a bad idea, then it's a bad idea, and it won't work, and then I'll look like a fool. But if it works, then I will be a genius. Hang on, let me take this cap off. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to add just a touch of green to this mixture. Just a touch. Just a touch of green to kind of give it a little bit more of a paler look. Yeah, that works. That actually looks really good. Okay. Gonna get another paper towel. Excuse my hand from coming across the camera like that. Always want to have paper towels. Very handy. Okay. Now, just like before, take your sponge and just dip it in. Now this time, you want to have as little as paint as possible. It's almost like you're dry brushing the sponge, but don't dry brush it. Dab it. To where it barely picks up any paint. Alright. Now just go over it like we've been doing. Like this. Oh yeah, adding that green was a masterful decision. Ooh yeah, definitely liking this. Sometimes it pays to just experiment. You just gotta sometimes think about what the character looks like, and then kind of like look at his skin and try to figure out what colors are used to create that skin color. But this looks really good. Really good. I'm really happy with this. And what you could do also is you can take the sponge and you can kind of like turn it into different variations. Turn it different ways so you can get a little bit different texture pattern with the sponge. But yeah, this is looking really good. And I'm gonna try to see if I can get the camera to show this, because this is kind of what you want it to look like. You can see how the skin is broken up. I mean, it's very, very hard to see on the camera, but it's broken up to where it's like he's very Cryptkeeper, has that Cryptkeeper rotten flesh look. But this is definitely what you want to do when you're painting something like this. You want that look. And you could even go further with like maybe throwing another shade. You could add purple, or you could even add a little bit of red, like a maroon, to give it kind of just a little bit more contrast. But what I'm going for is I'm going for more of a yellowish, rotteny brown skin, which this looks really well done with what I want. You also, when you're doing something like this, you got to make sure that you turn the kit upside down, however, to get where you want it to be, because there are so many easier. Now I want you to take a look at something. This is going to be something a little bit more better for you to see. Look at the hands, okay? Now look at the face. See how it has more of a different look? That's what you're looking for, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on the hands. I think that's going to leave us on this part of the video. like I said, I'm just going to do the exact same thing that I did on the hand, on the face to the hands. Remember, rate, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of this tutorial, if you plan on doing it to one of your kits. And as always, I'll see you next time. We'll be back for part 3, probably be up tomorrow or the next day. Alright? Take it easy, guys. See you on the next one.